Hi everybody, welcome to Studio 64. My name's David and I've been searching the interzones for some more science, space and tech news to share with you. And I came across this over at Metro. This should be bloody entertaining. Apparently the UK government has plans for finding alien life. All you got to do is look into your members of parliament. Or the royal family, one of the two. Okay, so the government is officially gearing up, it's the UK government, for the discovery of aliens, a move described as long overdue by the UK's leading UFO expert. Yes, and as usual, I'll leave the links to the main article below the video, so you can pop in, check out the embedded links, that way you can do a bit of a deeper dive behind the article if you'd like to. Makes for a very interesting read, believe me. A Freedom of Information request has revealed the Department for Science, Innovation and Technology, DSIT, is currently researching how it will react to the so-called Black Swan event that is discovering extraterrestrial life, including announcing the find to the public. Yes, that should be very, very interesting. Yeah, love to see the way they do it. But interesting, isn't it? There's only two possible reactions that people are going to have. It's going to be, oh my God, mass panics. We told you the conspiracy theorists were right, and society will break down, and that's what they're concerned about, and backlash to religious organisations and whatever. Or people in this day and age will probably go, yeah, whatever. We're not alone in the universe. The aliens are coming, and here they are. We've got them on the View. We already have them on the View at the moment, but we've got the we've got the newcomers. Aliens on the View. They're coming down from, Zeta 2 Reticuli, and here they are now. And everyone goes, yeah, whatever. Fascinating. A Black Swan event is an unpredictable event that has wide-ranging consequences, but in hindsight appears to have been inevitable. Yes, the report is investigating whether a plan already exists. None has ever been made public. What a plan would look like and how the UK can be on the front foot should such an outstanding scientific discovery finally be made. It is being conducted over 6 months and will be finalised in July, at which point a new government could be in receipt of it. Yes, meet the new boss, same as the old boss. If it's anything like Australia. Dear God. Fascinating. An internal report will be presented to the DSIT Permanent Secretary, setting out recommendations for an action plan, including opportunities, challenges, and areas of expertise. Yeah, if there's anybody out there who's a sort of a ufologist or a, expert in government sort of announcements or anything like that, that'd like to comment on this video, please feel free to do so. I'm no expert at all. I just have a love of science, space, and tech, and science fiction and horror films, and I just love all that stuff. It's just something that I've had a passion for since I was a kid. I just love sharing it with everybody. While a summary of the work states the primary focus of the report will be the impact on the science landscape, it will also consider the wider impact. Humans have pondered the existence of other life forms, at least on record, since medieval times. In recent decades, reports of UFOs have soared, the most famous being the Roswell incident in 1947, when a craft allegedly crashed in the New Mexico desert. And the rumours are, with conspiracy theories, reverse engineered that craft and ended up with took us that long to reverse engineer the technology, but that's how we ended up with the silicon chip revolution in the 70s and the 80s and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, interesting. You don't have to take it seriously, but it's like the Loch Ness Monster. Something might be there, something mightn't be there, but it's really good fun just to sort of creep yourself out thinking about it sometimes. It's just really interesting, just to, just for something to think about. It's absolutely amazing. It just really interests me. As I said, this, while the work states the primary focus will be on the impact on the science landscape, you've got to consider its social impact as well. Are human beings ready? Well, we're still too primitive. We think our technology's, magnificent and we're so ahead on our interzones and all this stuff. There could be aliens out there, societies where they're only 100 years ahead of us, who never had a Dark Ages or a Renaissance. Like we had the Dark Ages, the Renaissance. Anyone else can tell me if I've got this in the right order or whatever. Where learning in science was considered blasphemy or something, and therefore our progress was stopped for quite a while. Our technological progress was stopped. or at least slowed right down and had to be done in secret and that sort of thing. So if a society didn't have that, right, we could have been on the moon in the 1800s or something. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like it's just interesting to think about alternate realities and alternate possibilities. Yes, there we go. UFO crash site, UFO New Mexico, 1114 North Main, Roswell. Yes, the site of the famous Roswell incident. Yes, very, very interesting. And there's the embedded link. Go and check it out if you're curious about it. I always leave the link to the main article below the video so you can pop in and check out these links. Very interesting to read about Roswell in 1947 and how the Roswell Army Air Force, as it was known back then, because it wasn't the Air Force yet, US Air Force yet, came out and said, flying saucer, aliens. And then the papers went nuts and said visitors from another world, whatever they said. And then the Air Force printed a retraction. And Jesse Marcel, who was the officer at the time who gave the initial report, was made out to be a raving lunatic. You know, it's quite interesting. Just fascinating. Nothing changes. Oh, by the way, just as a side note, the funniest thing I think I ever saw for a press conference for a US military official, and I wish I could find the clip. If I can find it, I'll drop it in. But it was a US military officer, high-ranking officer, was asked a question by the press, can you tell us where Area 51 is? And there was silence. And then the officer says, yes, I can. It's located somewhere between Area 50 and Area 52. Next question. I think I rolled around the floor for about 20 minutes. He was actually honest. He told them, he gave the question to the answer to the question. Yeah, I thought that was quite funny. Anyway, I ramble on. Looking outwards, scientists around the world are focused on the search for extraterrestrial life, or SETI, scanning the skies for signs of other beings, whether microscopic or advanced civilizations. Yes, the running joke about SETI is in 60 years, why haven't they discovered anything? Is it because there's nothing there? No, human beings are the Jehovah's Witnesses of the universe, and the rest of the galaxy is pretending they're not home. Yes. Should a definitive discovery be made, the ramifications for science, governments, and society, particularly religion, hence many will be significant. Hence many in the industry arguing for better planning. Now, one such voice is Nick Pope. I've heard about this guy. He's actually pretty amazing. Who investigated UFOs for the Ministry of Defence, or the MOD in the UK. Yes, here we go. Nick Pope says plans for response to finding alien life are long overdue. Yes. So check the guy out. He's actually, one thing I like about him is, you know how most of these UFO experts, like when I was growing up, they usually had, you think my glasses are bad, Coke bottle bottom glasses, and they spoke like Mr. Bean. And nobody would take them seriously. The aliens, I've contacted them. Of course they'll think you're a raving nutter. If you go, oh yes, I shook the hands of an alien, and his name was Blur. And apparently that is roughly equivalent to George in our language. I think, oh, for fuck's sake, of course no one's going to take you freaking seriously. So guys like this I appreciate, because he's articulate and he's learned and he's just an interesting character. Don't know the man personally, but I just find him interesting to listen to. I'm very pleased to hear this study is being carried out because it's long overdue, said Mr. Pope. Rumours are circulating that in the scientific community that strong evidence of a biosignature has already been detected by the James Webb Telescope. And whatever might have been found, it's very possible that an announcement about a biosignature, or perhaps even a technosignature or a techosignature, is imminent. Yes, so either we found the signs of life on another world, or we found technology from an alien civilization. Either way, I would be so excited down in my nerdy nether regions, you have no idea. But then again, my personal life is no concern of yours. As always, it's better to have a plan and not need it than need it and not have it. Yes, it's very much like the Americans just before, and you can look this up. This is interesting. I encourage you to do so. Before the Americans landed on the moon in 1969, they passed a law that said something along the lines of Americans were forbidden to make contact with extraterrestrials or enter their craft. That was the same year that Project Blue Book came out, the US Air Force study that said that there's no evidence of aliens anywhere and the whole thing is just completely made up, or whatever the case is, right? You're a nut job, conspiracy theorist, and loopy in the head if you think that UFOs and aliens exist. but we're going to actually put a law in place to say Americans aren't allowed to contact them or into their spacecraft. Okay. I'm sorry, but that makes absolutely no sense to me. If something doesn't exist and you're a nut job for thinking about it, why would you create a law to prevent you from doing something that can't be possible or doesn't exist or something? I don't get it. Anyone can tell me what makes sense and what doesn't make sense these days. Feel free to comment down below. A biosignature is any characteristic such as an element or molecule that offers evidence of past or present alien life. Technosignatures are any property or effect that shows past or present technology. DCIT highly categorises the discovery of extraterrestrial life as a black swan scientific event, said Mr. Pope. It's arguably the ultimate black swan scientific event. Yes, the societal impact on finding extraterrestrial life is impossible to overstate. It would arguably be the biggest and most important scientific discovery of all time and the most impactful. I'm hoping it will bring us all together as human beings, as a society, and get rid of our bigotry, our prejudices, our stupidity. And I'm talking both sides. I'm not talking about just not being racist here. I'm talking about, I include in that racists are idiots, but I also include the people who go around calling people racist when they're not being racist to be complete idiots. You know what I mean? That must be racism. No, I'm just criticizing what a person says or does. I don't care about the color of their skin. No, that's being a bigot. I'm hoping that real racism goes away, and I hope this pseudo-racism goes away too when we do eventually meet aliens. But knowing humans, if they are more primitive than us, if we do happen to meet them on another planet, we'll treat them like indigenous people we have all over on this planet and start exploiting them, probably. Jesus Christ, we'll start thinking we're racially superior or something. And ironically, because we're racially superior because we're all human, and skin color will magically disappear. I'm a cynic. I don't apologize for that, believe me. Now, this is particularly true if we find intelligent life, especially if we were to interact with it in some way. This would have a profound effect on almost every aspect of society, including politics, religion, science, technology, and much more besides. And theirs as well. You've got to think of the cross-cultural stuff. They may be in the same situation as us, believing they're alone in the universe. Or they may have contacted other species. That would be interesting. And already there. You know? How much we could learn. But how much we could learn from each other. I think that would be fantastic, like cultures down here on Earth. We're all different, but we're all Homo sapien. Love learning about different cultures, but we're all fundamentally human. Even if these beings weren't human, there's still so much we could learn from each other. It's fascinating to me. In the worst case scenario, we might be facing an existential threat. Yeah. Now here's the video with Nick Pope in it. That goes for about 9 minutes. As I say, I'll leave the link below the article so you can pop in and check this video out because it's very, very interesting to watch, believe me. All right, so astronomers around the world are scanning the skies for signs of alien life. Yes, we're doing that in Australia. I made a number of videos on it with one of our large telescope arrays is coming online and being built in Western Australia. And I've done a video on that in the channel. Check it out because it's very interesting. Despite numerous countries conducting their own searches, there is little official guidance at any level regarding what will happen in the event of discovering alien life or even making contact. Now, the International Academy of Astronautics, the IAA, has developed a declaration of principles, a set of general guidelines for such an event, but does little beyond establishing that the signal must be verified and the country that makes the discovery gets to share it with the world. Yes, I'm just wondering if that's already been done. After that happens, there is a little in place. Now, Mr. Pope, who submitted the FOI request, said the societal reaction to COVID ripping each other apart over masks and vaccines doesn't bode well, particularly when one remembers that governments had contingency plans for a global pandemic, so it was hardly an unanticipated event. Yeah, we could have the plans in place, but what's going to happen? Are we going to behave like animals? I mean, you saw what happened with toilet paper, for God's sake. I can imagine hoarding toilet paper, cans of baked beans during a pandemic, but toilet paper? You think you'd go for bandages, medicines, particularly antibiotics, if the world was coming to an end, and tins of baked beans and stuff. This is why I've never thought preppers were insane. Oh, some of them are a little bit over the top, but I mean, somebody who builds a bunker and puts 3 months worth of supply of food in there after the pandemic is not so soft in the head after all, as far as I'm concerned. It's fascinating. How would people react to finding evidence of an advanced civilization on a planet orbiting a nearby star, especially if some believe they're already sending probes here? Now, the case study summary appears to focus on the idea that life would be found beyond Earth, noting numerous missions bound for other planets in the search. These are the ones that interest me. Jupiter's icy moon Europa is one of the best hopes for life in the solar system. That and Enceladus as well. So, and best for colonization, for our point of view, would be Titan. Would actually be better than Mars. Titan's Saturn's moon, isn't it? Again, correct me because I'm not a scientist if I'm wrong down here. But this would be a good place to start. Moons like this, because they are basically small planets. So would love to see the results of that. This is a side note. The technology with these ice-covered worlds where they believe there's an ocean underneath them, the technology, would you believe, once a heat sink is put through the ice core and it's a little submarine, a little micro sub that goes in like an underwater drone. Guess who helped pioneer that technology? That was Bob Ballard from the Woods Hole Institute in the United States. It's all based on the technology he used to find the Titanic in 1985. So obviously it's an up-to-date version. It's not 40 years old technology, but it's the basic principle. Send a camera down there like a little miniature submarine and that's literally what they're doing. It's based on that idea, based on that technology. It's absolutely incredible. I love it. Again, such a side note, just things that I enjoy. It's said the convergence of rapid technological advancements, expanding knowledge of life's resilience, and the identification of habitable exoplanets have brought us closer to a monumental breakthrough. Yeah, life's resilience. I remember growing up and we were told that life had this really limited band of which it could possibly exist. And then we discovered things like at the bottom of undersea volcanoes where we found microbial life or stuff like that. The temperature, you can't exist possibly near a volcano, and they damn well did. So now we're expanding, the possible environments because our minds were so limited. We could only look around us and see what environments humans could be in, or what environments fish could be in, or, we didn't think that they could possibly evolve on other worlds to environments with, say, gases that would be poisonous to a human being, They could be allergic to oxygen, for God's sake. That's stupid. Every being needs oxygen. So, well, you don't know. This is the thing that amazes me. There's so much we have to learn. And that's not exact. I'm not saying they can be allergic to oxygen, but they could be allergic to something that's harmless to us, and it could be lethal to them and vice versa. It's really interesting. With missions to study the moons of Saturn and Jupiter and tantalizing findings on Mars, we are ever closer to discovering habitable environments within our solar system. Additionally, the study of extremophiles on Earth and the use of AI to search for biosignatures have expanded our understanding detection capabilities. Yeah, all this data you get from a radio telescope has got to be gone through. And using AI, that's speeding that up a great deal. It's absolutely awesome. As these factors align, the imminent discovery of extraterrestrial life promises to revolutionize our comprehension of the cosmos and propel us into an era of scientific exploration. Both NASA and the European Space Agency, the ESA, currently have missions bound for Jupiter's icy moons, thought by many to be the best place to find life in the solar system. Well, last month, the US agency confirmed it was progressing with its Dragonfly mission to Saturn's organic-rich moon Titan. Yeah, that place is incredible. I've done videos on that too. But a lot of people believe it would be better to colonize than Mars, funnily enough. Anybody got any thoughts on that? Love to hear from you. Drop a comment. Yeah, NASA's Mars rover Perseverance, pictured here with the helicopter Ingenuity, is still searching for signs of life. Yeah, I did a video on the Dragonfly mission. Yeah, that's really interesting. In addition, land and space-based satellites and radio antennae are continually searching for signs among the stars, while rovers on Mars continue to hunt for evidence of life on the red planet. Just did a video today on that, where we found the traces of oxygen in rocks that was a lot higher now, I believe, a lot higher back in the day on Mars than now. So obviously Mars had a higher level of oxygen, at some point in its history than it does now, and that could be conducive to life. It's fascinating. As Mr. Pope mentioned, rumours are swirling that the James Webb Space Telescope, or JWST, has already found evidence of life. In September, NASA revealed the groundbreaking satellite had detected traces of dimethyl sulfide, a compound that on Earth is only produced by life, primarily phytoplankton. Wouldn't it be fascinating and very crude and very juvenile of me to say this? But the first thing we detected traces of on another world would be methane, and it would be aliens passing wind. I think that would be absolutely hilarious. Wouldn't that be typical? The universe has a sense of humor. We discover life and they fart. That would be one of the, it's childish, it's stupid, but it would be hilarious. A monumental shift in the mental thinking and the paradigm of Earth as a society. And it's based on just having too many beers the night before. The aliens had too much of their equivalent of alcohol and dropped their guts. That would be brilliant. I'd love it. This giant methane cloud erupting from the surface of a planet. Oh my God, there's life on that planet. And we finally find out it's some bloke that's had one too many beers in a bar on a Friday night in alien land. That'd be hysterical. Many argue that if or when humans discover, very lowbrow but hysterical, many argue that if or when humans discover life beyond their own planet, it will be microscopic. Perhaps it will be the telltale signs of long-gone bacteria on Mars or deep-sea dwelling microbes on an icy moon. Now, while that finding may not have the same societal impact as discovering an advanced civilization, it will still be momentous because it will either be this is the start of a complex life form. If we find a bacteria on Mars or deep sea dwelling microbes on icy moon, is at the start, like at the very beginning of evolution, like Earth, with little microbes and bacteria running around in the primordial ooze, and it's going to be that way in a few million years or a few billion years or whatever? Or is it the end and this is what's left? Or do we get down there and we get under the surfaces of these icy moons into the oceans and find there are domes down there with alien societies living on it? That would be awesome. Aquaman. Yeah, it's fascinating. And if scientists do in fact make contact, the ramifications will be even greater. Mr. Pope added, skeptics will say you can't get here from there. But in a universe nearly 14 billion years old, there might be civilizations out there that are a billion years ahead of us. And who's to say they haven't figured a workaround to what scientists generally regard as the impenetrable barrier of light? Saying this in videos the other day. Don't tell that to Chuck Yeager, who was told he couldn't break the sound barrier, and he fell off a horse the day before and injured himself greatly, and told his best mate, don't mention it to the Air Force doctor, whatever it was. Don't mention it to the medical officer, otherwise he won't let me fly. So the guy with a severe injury went and broke the sound barrier. But the point that I'm making is, besides being a legend, my mind's wandering again, you'll have to excuse me. We found a workaround for memory, right, on the computer. Bill Gates said famously in the early 80s when Microsoft DOS had a limitation of 1 megabyte, and 384K of that 1024K of the 1 megabyte was used for your screen, your keyboard, your mouse, hardware, and DOS and everything else. And the user had 640K or 0.64 of a megabyte, if you like, usable for your programs. Now, it's your memory, right? You say I can't see people would need any more than that. And besides, there's no way we can get any higher than that. Then came Windows in standard mode, and then came Windows in enhanced mode, which meant that it could access more than that amount of memory. First was, I think it was bubble memory, then expanded memory. And the next thing you know, computers have got 4 megabytes of RAM and 6 megabytes of RAM and 8 megabytes and 16 megabytes. And now we talk about 8 gig, 16 gig, 32 gig. And who knows what's going to be in the future. So, you know, and for a while, their versions of Windows only had a limit of 16 gig or 32 gig. I can't remember back a little while ago. I think NT Server had, what was it, 4 gig limitation or 8 or something? People correct me down there, I think, in the comments, please. But you understand what I'm trying to say here, that we say you can't go faster than the speed of light, the impenetrable barrier. Hey, there are people discovering and questioning Einstein's theory of relativity as we speak. I've done videos on it, for God's sake. We don't, that's going in a straight line. There's the 186,000 miles a second or whatever it is, right? We could find ways to bend, warp space or bend space or anything. There's got to be a way around it. I don't care what anybody says. We mightn't even travel at the speed of light. We may have some other way of doing it. And people go, you're a science fiction head and an idiot. Okay, well, that's fine. Back in the 60s in Star Trek, they had communicators that looked like flip phones. 30 years later, people were using flip phones all the time. And then that was the original Star Trek. And then in the 80s, with Star Trek The Next Generation, they had replicators. Oh, yeah, that's science fiction. We'll never make those. Now we've got 3D goddamn printers that make things out of nothing, out of base materials. So don't tell me we can't break the speed of light eventually or find a way around it. Fascinating. Some theoretical physicists speculate about wormholes and warp drive. And it's interesting that as a part of the contract associated with the Pentagon's AATIP, Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, scientific papers were written on subjects that included anti-gravity warp drives and wormholes. Yeah. How do we know there are not natural wormholes out there? Okay, science fiction again. Stargate. They can get in there and travel virtually instantaneously to anywhere that has a Stargate on it. The original idea was to how'd you get the Stargate there? We had to go in a slow ship, drop the Stargate off. But other than that, after that, it was pew, pew, pew all over the place. How do we know there's something not like that out there? Yes, it's science fiction. I'm aware of that. But you never know. I hope the DSIT study will include input from the Ministry of Defence because while it may be highly classified, the MOD may have information that would be useful to DSIT. The defence and national security implications of this issue shouldn't be overlooked. Yes, metro.co.uk contacted the DSIT, but PERTA restrictions during the election period, of course, and the report being in progress prevented further comment. Yeah, sure it did. How convenient. Yes, absolutely fascinating. But, absolutely love the idea. Life on other planets. Think it's amazing. And yes, there are going to be a lot of people who are going to be seriously shocked when it does happen. I mean, as in, becomes general knowledge, if you know what I'm trying to say. It's going to be very interesting to see the reactions to some people, as I say. Will it be the end of society? Will society collapse? Or will everybody just go, yeah, I'm going to go and watch a reality TV show on Netflix? That's probably one of the reasons why aliens don't come anywhere near us. You know that, don't you? They hacked our Wi-Fi. And, oh, my God, what are you watching on Netflix? Not the bloody Jersey Shore. Jesus. That'll be hilarious, that. I think that's great. That's the reason aliens don't come anywhere near us, because of reality TV. All right, well, my name is David. Thanks for joining me for another Studio 64 Science, Space and Tech News Update. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe. I greatly appreciate it. If you're up for it, drop a comment down below the video because I'd love to hear what you think. All right, take care. And as I always say, if you can't be good at it. And thank you for, this has been a long video, so thanks for sticking with me. If you can't be good at it. And as I also always say,
fascinating, but quite impossible.